Okay, good evening. So today we are focusing on trigonometry, trigonometric functions grade 11. Okay, so we are looking at this question. So this question says in the diagram, the graphs of f of x is equal to tan x minus 1. This means they have shifted our graph of tan x. Then again, we have g of x is equal to negative 1 over 2 cos 2x. Okay, so this 2 is very important. Remember, we have what you call cos kx, right? Cos kx. So whereby this k works where, remember, we say our period, if we are calculating the period of our graph, is what? Is our standard period over k. Our standard period, we know our standard period of tan is 180 degrees, of cos is 360 degrees, and of sine is also 360 degrees. So in this case, that means for g of x, the period of g of x in this case will be what? 360 degrees, which is the standard period of cos, then divide by k, which is 2, which is 180 degrees. Okay, but then they have sketched our graphs for us. We can see our graphs, we can see the point. Okay, so everything is fine. Now let's go to questions. Oh, the first question, it says write down the period of g. So the period of g, we already calculated it, which is standard period over k, right? Because g of x is negative 1 over 2 cos 2x, meaning our standard period, it's 360 over 2, which is 180 degrees, which is the new period. So the answer here, you just have to write 180 degrees, right? So you can just write 180 degrees. Then the next question, they're saying determine the range of g of x. So there's a difference between the domain and the range. So the range simply means that we are focusing on the y values. So where in the y values does our graph exist? That's what this question is saying. But then we are looking specifically at our g of x, which is negative 1 over 2 cos 2x. So by looking at things here, we can see that our graph, this is the maximum of our graph, and this is the minimum of our graph, right? So this is half. You can also prove it. If you don't know how to prove that this is half and negative half, you can just say, for example, if x is 0, right? For g of x, you're going to have your f of x will be what? Negative 1 over 2 cos 2 into 0. Then negative 1 over 2 cos 2 into 0, when you punch it on your calculator, it's going to give you negative 1 over 2, right? So this means that we have negative 1 over 2 as our minimum and maximum, right? So we can just enter 90 as well. If we enter 90, we are going to get 0, but it's fine. Okay, so where in our y-axis does our graph exist? So our graph, we can just say our graph is y is an element of, remember we have an excluding bracket and an including bracket. So we are going to include, we are going to say our y is an element of where? From negative 1 over 2, including it, up to including 1 over 2, which is the maximum, right? Or we can say negative 1 over 2 y 1 over 2. Any of them is correct, right? Okay, then let's go to the next question. So the next question is interpretation. So we are interpreting our graphs. So in the next question, they say use your graphs to determine the values of x, where your f of x is positive. So greater than 0 means positive, but then they said or equal to, meaning if it's equal to 0, it's also a solution, right? So now let's go and check. We are looking at our f of x. Our f of x stands for y. Okay, our f of x is positive here. it's no, sorry, it's negative here, right? Which is the y value is negative, 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 negative. But here at 45, it's 0. Then after it's positive, 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 up to going up. But then remember, our graph in x is equal to 90 does not exist because it's a tan graph. 90 is an asymptote for a tan graph, right? So it does not exist here. So this can be a solution, right? So we are looking for where our graph, which is the y values, which is f of x, is greater or equal to 0. We can see it's positive, it's 0 here, meaning it's a solution. Going that side, it's negative, right? It's not a solution. But then what about going that side? Going that side, it's what? It's positive, which is a solution. So that means it's 45. From 45 degrees, we can just say x is an element of including 45. Up to where? Up to here, but excluding 90. We don't include 90 because 90, it's an asymptote. Our graph does not exist. Meaning you can just say 45 x 90, right? Then let's check here. We also have our f of x here, but it's negative, 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 negative. So this is not a solution. So you can just ignore it, right? So our solutions are these ones. It's either you write it in this way or in this way. You'll get full marks. Now let's go to the next question. The next question is saying, determine the values of x where your f of x multiplied by g of x, it's positive. So we don't include 0 this time. We are just looking for where it's positive, right? So let's check. The product is positive. For the product to be positive, what must happen? That's the question we must ask ourselves. So that means we have negative times negative, it's positive. Positive times positive, it's positive. Negative times positive, it's negative. So this one can't be our solution. We are just looking at these two, where our both graphs are negative or our both graphs are positive. Just keep it in mind. I'm just removing it, this one. So we are looking for where our both graphs are negative and where our both graphs are positive. So let's label for g. For g, it's negative, negative, negative. It's 0. It's positive, positive, positive. Remember, this is the y values. That is why don't get confused by the negative, positive. This means the y values. Here it's 0, negative, 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 negative. It's 0. It's positive, positive, positive. Right? So when interpreting, we are going to just draw horizontal, vertical lines, right? To see. So between negative 90 and 45 degrees, let's look at this region between negative 90 and 45 degrees. So in this region, we can see that our both graphs are negative, which means it's a solution. No, it's a solution, yes, because of they are both negative. When we multiply them, we are going to get a positive number. What about exactly in 90? In 90, it's an undefined solution because the other graph does not exist. That means 90 is not a solution. We can't include 90, right? What about in 45? In 45, the other graph is 0, which means we are going to get 0. But then they did not include 0. They don't say they only said f of x times g of x is positive. So where it's 0 is not a solution. That means our solution is between 90 and negative 45. Negative 90 and negative 45 only, right? Then, or we are going to check if there's another solution. Let's check now. Between negative 45 and 0, in this region, we have negative and positive. Obviously, it's not a solution. What about here? We have a negative and positive. Obviously, it's not a solution between 0 and 45 as well. But what about between 45 and 90 degrees? Here, we have positive and negative as well. This means that it's not a solution as well, right? Okay. What about between 90 and 135? We have negative and negative, right? It's a solution. But then let's check. At 90, our other graph of tan does not exist. Meaning at 90, we don't have a solution. We can't include 90, right? We must exclude it. What about at 135? At 135, our other graph is 0, meaning we are going to have a solution of 0. Any number multiplied by 0 is 0. So we don't include it. That means we are going to say or from 90, between 90 and what? 135 degrees. We don't include them. Okay, so you can just say x is an element of negative 90 and negative 45. Or x is an element of 90 up to 135 degrees. So these are your two solutions, right? Now let's continue. Let's go to the next question. Okay. So the next question is saying 2 tan x, right, plus cos 2x is equal to 2. Okay. So we can just solve this thing. Let's just try solving it first, right? Because this thing we can just solve it because we see it includes tan and cos, meaning there's something here. If we try manipulating it, we can find the solution. So we can just say we have 2 tan x plus cos 2x is equal to 2, right? Then let's take 2 this side. 2 tan x plus cos 2x minus 2 is 0, right? Let's take cos 2x that side. We have 2 tan x minus 2 is equal to negative cos 2x, right? So from here we can divide both sides by 2. We're going to have something that is familiar to what we have. 2 cancels 2, 2 cancels 2. So we have tan x minus 1 is equal to, here we're going to have negative 1 over 2 cos 2x. Wow, that was great. This means that we're looking for where our f of x is equal to our g of x, where our graphs are intersecting, right? So where do our graphs intersect? They intersect only at one point. We can see that they only intersect where? At x is equal to 45, meaning your solution is what? Is x is equal to 45. Right? If you try using general solution, you can also find it, but then I don't know. But this is the simplest way, by the way. Okay? Now let's go to 6.4. 6.4, they're saying you have h of x. Your h of x is sine x plus cos x. Now they are saying describe the vertical translation of h. Okay, so now we are trying to describe the vertical translation of h from f, right? So we have h of x being sine x plus cos x over cos x. Okay, let me try looking at this thing and see what did they do. Okay, we can just break this thing and say it's sine x over cos x, since it's the same denominator, cos x over cos x, right? Then we are going to have, this is 10x plus 1. Wow, they were trying to confuse us. This means that we can see that from tan x minus 1 to tan x plus 1, this means they added 2, meaning they have shifted. There's a vertical translation of 2 units, but upwards. Remember, when adding is upwards on vertical. So there's a vertical translation of what? 2 units upward. This means that our h of x is f of x plus 2. Right? Okay. Then 6.5, which is the last question, they say determine the maximum value of p of x is equal to 4g of x. Okay, so this means it's 4. What is our g of x? Let's go and check it. Negative 1 over 2 cos 2x. It's negative 1 over 2 cos 2x. Meaning it's what? It's going to be negative 2 cos 2x, right? Okay, this means that the maximum value is what? It's 2, because we can see maximum is 2. You can see it here from the amplitude. Or if you don't mind, you can try sketching the graph. You will see that the maximum is 2. Okay, thank you.